What a peaceful and lovely day. I sure hope no crazy weirdos come by and try to tell me about a new build video that's coming out. That'd be oddly specific, but weird at the same time. Come check out the new Conflicting Memories build video! Oh. Good howdy. Today we are going to be talking about a gun that in my opinion is very slept on. This is the MG4 Conflicting Memories. The way that this gun works, every 12 shots you trigger shrapnel. For every 32 magazine capacity you increase the amount of parts that you're hitting by up to +5, which is tremendous. And for every 15 magazine capacity in excess of 90, you gain 10% shrapnel damage. With the build that we're going to be going through, this will give you up to around 70% increased shrapnel damage at its peak, and that can be increased significantly higher with the right mods, but as of right now, that's about the best we got. And then it also comes with a flat 40 magazine capacity increase, which is just a nice little kicker. Because this is a physical weapon, you want the blueprint to be maxed out before you craft it, and then of course you need to be calibration 10. I'm using overflow style to give me more rounds in the mag because I can get up to about 70% increased shrapnel damage with this with the magazine size that I have. I'm using double crit rate because you want to be scoring critical hits with this. It's a very powerful build. The crits are substantial. My secondary weapon, I'm using recurve crossbow specifically because when you hit a weak spot, it gives bullseye, which gives you 15% increased crit rate against targets that have the bullseye, which is tremendous increase. On my offhand, I'm using the kukri. The kukri, when you destroy something or defeat a target, you get 30% increased attack and 15% increased crit rate, which is a more crit, more damage. It's fantastic. For my armor, I'm using 2 pieces of Lone Wolf to give me increased crit rate and magazine capacity. I'm using 3 pieces of Treacherous Tides to boost my damage when I'm at low HP. And for my key item, I'm using the Cage Helmet, which gives you shrapnel trigger count +1, which means every time you trigger shrapnel, it triggers it twice. With this having +5 shrapnel parts hit, if it's triggering twice, that means that it is hitting 6 parts twice. So it is hitting 12 times, which is insane. For my mods, I'm using Shatter Them All. The more parts it hits, the more damage it deals, which is tremendous. You're looking for a shrapnel specific mod. I just never got one, but you want shrapnel damage, shrapnel crit damage, and magazine capacity. For crossbow, I'm using Vulnerability Amplifier because it gives you increased damage by adding more vulnerability onto the enemy. For kukri, it doesn't matter what mod you use. I just have Final Territory on because it doesn't really matter. This is when I swap between all my melee weapons, it doesn't matter. For my helmet, I'm using Momentum Up because increased fire rate means we get to the bottom of the mag faster and deal more damage faster, and then weapon damage up for the lower half of the magazine, which is for a tremendous amount of bullets, we're getting 30% increased damage. Of course, it's low HP, therefore Lunar. Weapon damage, crit damage, magazine capacity, and then damage against enemy types are your go-tos. For the mask, I'm using Shrapnel Carnage. Again, you're going to want to find a shrapnel specific one that will give you shrapnel damage, shrapnel crit damage, magazine capacity, and damage against enemy types. For my gloves, I'm using Crit Amplifier. I prefer Crit Amplifier over Crit Boost because 15% crit rate does not, in my opinion, outweigh 15% crit damage. 15% crit damage and only losing 5% rate, I put out a lot more damage in all of my testing. For my boots, I'm using Rush Hour. Less HP means more damage, therefore good. For my chest piece, I'm using... I don't want to use Quick Comeback. I want to be actively reloading. For my chest piece, I'm using Enduring Shield. I don't think using your activator to reload is too important to me with Quick Comeback because it already has such a fast reload speed. I don't really notice my downtime reloading. Enduring Shield will keep me alive longer, and it's also just a stronger mod for me. For pants, I'm using Deadshot. Every crit will deal more crit damage. You're going to be critting a lot, so with a 200 round magazine, you'll be at that 45% crit damage lickety split. For my Cradle, I'm using Anti-Coherence, which will give me more LMG damage. Rapid Aid, so I can heal more when my health is low. Tactical Leap, you gotta be jumping. Jumping is tactical. Tactical's great. Jumping is fun. You do more damage. It's a win-win. Deviant energy defense, so I can stay alive because shields keep me alive. Marked strike, because we're doing bullseye against targets, therefore more damage good. Deadly combo, we do shrapnel. Shrapnel do more damage good. Invincible strike, we do shrapnel. Shrapnel do more damage good. Steady hand. Other people using Fortress Warfare will buff us and give us more damage, which is nice. Also, admittedly, I don't know what else to use. Maybe tactical combo, but 4 seconds of 15% damage just doesn't seem that strong to me. I could be wrong, but that's just my opinion. For your deviation, you want to use Lunar Lone Wolf because it gives you increased weapon damage, which is tremendous. Also because it gives you increased weapon damage received by the attacked target. So Wolfie is hungry, Wolfie jumps up and bites something, you gain damage. It's great. I don't know what else to tell you. It's great. It does good damage. We do that. Food buffs. My personal preference is Crumbly Red. All weapon damage increased by 25%. It is very strong. You can also use Stargazy Pie. So it'll just give you 25% increased crit damage. It's really nice. One thing that's really cool about... Oh, wait. One thing that's really cool about Conflicting Memories, if you use a turret, so an MG turret with Shadow Shift, this will mimic the weapon that's in your hands. The way that Conflicting Memories works is that it gives your character a buff. Every time your character shoots 12 times, you will trigger shrapnel. The turret counts towards your buff while you are wielding Conflicting Memories. Therefore, every time the turret shoots, it gives you a stack. Every time you shoot, it gives you a stack, thereby effectively halving the amount of bullets that you need to shoot in order to trigger shrapnel. That is a tremendous damage buff. If you want to do the absolute maximum damage, you are required to have a Shadow Shift portable MG turret because it will quite literally double your damage. Thank you for taking the time to watch this build video. If you have learned anything or you want to continue to come back, please like, comment, subscribe, do the whole big thing. I am live on Twitch as we speak. If I am not live on Twitch, then that is strange, but give us a follow anyway. We stream every day except Wednesday, 7:30 PST. You will find us live on Twitch. Have a lovely time of day.